Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning, Tony.
Morning, how are you?
Good, thanks, and you?
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Morning, guys. I think we can get started. I just want to acknowledge everyone who's on this platform for making time to, come and spend some time here on this platform. It's a Saturday, and there's a million things you could be doing, but I appreciate the fact that you took the time to come and, for us to just sit down and share some things, especially concerning, the arena of the human mind and emotions. I know it's an area that that is not talked about a lot, but it's an area that I'm passionate about for a lot of reasons. I've been on this journey for a number of years now. I think from around 2015, that's when I really started to wake up to the reality of how my mind was affecting everything that I was doing. So I'm grateful that you would take time to come and come to this first webinar of a series that we're calling "Am I Taking Care of Me?" "Am I Taking Care of Me" is a series that we're going to do, which will basically empower everyone involved to look after ourselves better. And I know when we talk about looking after ourselves, we're usually referring to the physical side of ourselves. It's so weird when you think about it, like, from the day that you're born, you are taught to brush your teeth every single morning. You are taught to take a bath every single morning. You are taught to, if you get, something as little as a scrap, if you hurt yourself one way or the other, you know exactly what to do. Ask any 5-year-old what they should do if they catch a cold or a flu. They'll tell you, because they know exactly how to do it, because they've been taught how to do it from the day that they're born, and they watch it around them, because people are just so, we don't lack when it comes to looking at ourselves, looking after ourselves physically. But the area of there's an area of ourselves which doesn't get as much attention, which is crazy when you think about it. Like, we take better care of our teeth than we do our minds, which is crazy, because everything pretty much depends on the mind. I remember growing up, you would be playing and then you hurt yourself. And then the first thing you do is you run to mommy, because mommy has the solution. But when it comes to mental and emotional issues, surprisingly, we don't know what to do. And the kind of society that we live in does not talk about those things. Like, nobody ever says to you, hey, listen, if you get a heartbreak, this is what you do. You do A, B, C, D. Hey, listen, if you lose someone to death, this is what you do. You do A, B, C, D. If you suffer depression, this is what you can do. You do A, B, C, D. Not many people know what to do when it comes to those things, because those things are, for the most part, unseen. They happen in the mind, but we don't get to see them with the naked eye. You would really have to be a conscious person to see that someone is not okay just by looking at them, you know what I mean? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to set a foundation for the next couple of series that we're going to do, called Am I Taking Care of Me? But the one thing that I want to do above everything else is I want to start raising your consciousness to the issue of mental and emotional health. I want you to be aware. The same way that you would be aware if you woke up in the morning and you are feeling under the weather and you know you need to either take some vitamin or eat some fruit or ginger or garlic or whatever it is the same way that I want you to start being conscious of mental and emotional issues. I'll tell you how this journey began for me. In 2010, I found myself going through a divorce, which is something that I had not foreseen. We had been married for 5 years. We had one beautiful daughter. And then not all of a sudden, it happened gradually. I found myself going through a divorce. And when it happened, this is towards the end of 2010. When 2010 ended, we got into 2011. And when 2011 is when I moved out of the place that we were living as husband and wife. So I moved out. I moved to a much smaller place. That one was a shared accommodation. So I thought that this was the end of it, it's gone. But I sank into what I now know as depression. I didn't understand it was depression at the time. I was just going through it. I just knew that I wasn't okay. So I had a job at the time, and I found myself struggling to do anything. And I mean exactly that. Like, I struggled to do anything. I struggled to eat. I struggled to get out of bed in the morning. I struggled to have normal relationships with people. I struggled to work because I had a contract, you see, and the job description says you will show up at work at 8 and you leave here at 5, and this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do A, B, C, D. And then you get paid, right? But getting out of bed in the morning became an issue for me. I couldn't wake up. I had no energy to get out of bed. I couldn't. I was angry. I was very, very, very sad. I didn't know it was depression then because I just knew that I was extremely sad for a very long time. And I did not know what to do. I was in so much emotional pain, and emotional pain is tricky because it's difficult to explain this pain to anyone. And bear in mind, as you can see, I'm a man, right? And it's not easy as a man to go to another man and talk about your emotional issues because people will look at you funny like, okay, so you broke up with your wife, just get another woman, problem solved. And this is how men talk about problems. Men will go to the bar and then one guy will say, guys, I just caught my wife cheating. And then the other guy says, oh, but you must be weak, like you must be, and they laugh about it. And they trivialize it so much that, just even opening up about it to other people, like makes you look weak because you are not considered a man if you talk about your emotions. If you break down and cry, you're considered weak. So I was very much aware of these things. So it was difficult for me to open up to anyone. So I was telling you how I struggled to wake up in the morning. I struggled to eat. I struggled to, and naturally I'm skinny, like I'm slim, but I lost weight. So you can imagine what I looked like back then. So if I got myself to work, working was a struggle because I still had to interact with people in the workplace and, take instructions and, do my normal duties, but I couldn't do that. I remember I used to go because I used to work in a cubicle and I would get there at 8, look at my computer screen and stare at it blankly for hours on end. I got numerous warning letters until one day I was forced to talk to someone about my problems. And that person was my boss because he could see that I was struggling. That's the first time that I opened up about what had happened. I said, you know what, I'm going through a divorce. Surprisingly, he was kind of supportive, but at the same time, he also expected me to do my duties as normal. So yeah, so that's how that conversation went. So he began to be a lot more, supportive and whatever, but I was still expected to do my duties, right? So this went on for a couple of months, and I sank deeper and deeper and deeper into depression. And then the thought of suicide came. I thought to myself, you know what? This is too much pain, because leaving was a struggle. So I thought to myself, surely dying should be easy. Like, I mean, of course, you experience pain, like it depends on what you decide to do to kill yourself. But I was fantasizing about the idea of dying. And I said, you know what? I might as well just end it, man. Like, I'm just going to end it. Because it was too much pain. I couldn't function. I couldn't do anything. And then I remember the first time I attempted suicide. Google wasn't a big thing then, because this is in 2011. I mean, it was there, but it wasn't like as big as it is now. So I started to think, what would be the most painless way of dying? Obviously, I'm not going to jump on, from a building. I didn't have enough guts to do that. So I thought, I'll take a whole bunch of pills and then just not wake up. And I thought to myself, okay, cool. This is what I'm going to do. So I did it the first time. So I used to share a flat with some guys from, I think it was Kuwait. And these guys, cared nothing about what was going on. And they had no idea actually they just saw this guy coming from work every day and locking himself up in the room, because that's what I used to do. Or lock myself up in the room, switch off all the lights, switch off, close all the curtains. And if it's a weekend, I would not wake up or go anywhere. Like, I'll just be in the room, except when I needed to go to the loo. So I took some pills. Fortunately, the pills didn't kill me. They made me sick, like really, really, really sick. So I remember taking the pills and feeling really weird. And then surprisingly, I woke up the next morning and I was like, oh, wow, I'm still alive. Like, I'm still here. So I was caught in between two emotions. One, I was kind of glad I didn't die, but at the same time, I'm kind of disappointed that I wanted to end the pain. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I was caught in between two places. Like, I wanted to die, but I also was disappointed that I didn't die, because I had a baby girl. She was 5 at the time, and then still didn't speak to anyone. Ended up going to the clinic. I lied that I had overdosed, but I think they knew better, so they gave me something for what had happened. And it was the first time I ever went to a South African clinic ever, because I was living here in Midrand. And then within the same month, I attempted again. I don't know why I tried the same method and hoping for a different result, but that's exactly what I did. And the second time, same thing, got really sick. I had taken a little bit more than the first time, but it didn't happen. And then it occurred to me, like, okay, so something else has got to be happening here. Either I'm not being effective at doing this, so honestly, I have to try something different, But I remember that's the second time I spoke to another person about my issue, which was my friend. He actually kind of found me the second time that I tried to do it, because I hadn't been taking my calls. I hadn't been returning messages or anything, So I thought to myself, okay, cool. Because I wasn't picking up my calls, he then came to see me. And then when he came to see me, he could see that I was in a really, really bad state. And this guy only got to find out that I attempted suicide a few months ago when I posted about it on social media. He just knew that I wasn't okay, but that's when it made sense to him. Like, oh, so that time when I found you, this is what was happening, So he was really upset about that, but, we've since moved forward from that. Anyway, after that attempt, I kind of had a different view of what I was going through. So I thought to myself, you know what, maybe it's not supposed to happen, but the pain was still very much alive. The bitterness, the anger, the unforgiveness, I was emasculated as a man, you know, when I went through the divorce, because when you get, when a marriage ends, you know, it does something to your self-esteem. And also at the time, things were not financially okay for me. So I blamed myself for a lot of the things that happened. So there was a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. A few months later, you know, I started going to church. I had been going to church, but at this point, I went, and I remember I sat with one of the people at church, you know, who was trying to counsel me, and then I started talking about it, and then I actually realized that, you know what, actually talking about it kind of helps. Not that they give you a solution, but, you know, just having someone to sit there and give you, you know, an ear, it kind of helped me. I moved from being suicidal to just being depressed, and my hope was, you know, if I keep talking about it, I would at least move to a place where maybe, you know, I wasn't severely depressed or something, at least where I could function as a human being. So it took me a number of years to start to feel normal again. After about 3-4 years, that's when I really started to feel like, okay, cool, there's a possibility that I could heal, but I still wasn't healed. The reason why I was telling you that story is because I want you to see, maybe you could see yourself in my story. I don't know what's going on in your life, but what I want to remember, in the beginning, I said, I'm hoping that I'm going to create enough consciousness and awareness of this issue to a point where you actually do something about it. So the reason why I was telling you is because I want you to see how your mental health is so important. So for me, that experience was the first time that mental health became a reality for me. That was my slap in the face to say, dude, you need to wake up because this could kill you. Look, you almost died twice. And a lot of people are not aware of how their minds are affecting the way they do life. You understand? So what I'm going to do in the next few minutes is I'm going to show you and prove to you that if you are not paying attention to your mind and your emotions, you are in serious trouble, because that is the difference between being miserable in this life and being okay and enjoying life, right? So your mental health is affecting your physical health. I'll say that again. Your mental health, the way you are mentally well, is affecting your physical health. According to statistics, 87 to 95% of people that are walking through the doctor's door to go and see a doctor in this day and age are going there for stress-related conditions. 87 to 95%, which means most of the people that you see going to a doctor today are going there not because of infections, they're going there because suffering conditions. Sorry for that. 87 to 95% of people that are going to a doctor today are going there because of conditions that are triggered by stress, which then manifests itself in physical conditions. I could name a few right now, because what tends to happen is that when you are consistently stressed about life, stress hormones are released in your system, and emotions are real physical things, by the way. You feel them in your body, right? So when you go through, stress is supposed to be a temporary coping mechanism. Let me give you a temporary coping mechanism where stress comes in. Let's say you are walking at night and you hear something that you think is someone walking behind you. You go into a state of stress. So that temporary state of stress gives you a boost in energy for you to be able to run and protect yourself and run away from danger. That's a temporary stress situation. That's normal stress. If you're going to write an exam, you undergo a certain level of stress because you're supposed to be focusing on this exam, and you go through, normal anxiety, normal stress. It's temporary. It's meant to help you to cope with the temporary situation. Animals go through this all the time. Animals will go through, for example, let's say an impala or a kudu or whatever is under danger from a lion. It goes under stress, which gives it enough energy to be able to flee and not be killed. That's it. But for human beings, this mechanism, it's not only triggered by outside situations. Sometimes it can be triggered. In fact, for the most part, it's triggered by just thinking alone. So you don't have to be in danger to experience stress. All you have to do is perceive a situation to be stressful, and you undergo through stress. And unfortunately, human beings, they haven't learned the ability of turning off this stress response when they think about stressful things. So for example, you think your boyfriend or girlfriend is cheating. This is a mind-generated situation, right? But your brain doesn't know the difference between an imagined situation and a real one. So it just gives you a stress response. And you go through stress. If you're always stressing about finances, if you're always stressing about relationship issues, if you're always stressing about life in general, the future, the past, we're always doing this thing where we are stuck in the past and thinking about stressful things that happened to us, whether you were sexually abused or you were abandoned or somebody abused you in one way or the other, or you went through some kind of trauma, and all of these things. All of these things will cause a stress response in your system today, even though it happened a long time ago. So the bottom line is, a lot of us are in constant stressful situations in our minds, and they trigger stressful responses in our bodies. And unfortunately, our bodies can only take so much of stress. You get to a point where the stress chemicals become so much that your immune system is severely impaired. And when your immune system is down, you literally open the floodgates for all kinds of sicknesses and disease. That's when you start suffering from things that will seem like they are standalone things, but they are connected to how stressed you always are. Things like hypertension, things like cancer, things like, the list is endless, So a lot of the times we think ourselves into sickness and disease without even realizing it. So we see sicknesses and we think that these are physical things. But for the most part, we trigger these conditions by the way that we think and the way that we feel. So that's how your mental health is affecting your physical health. Apologies for that. So that's how your mental health is affecting that's how your mental health is affecting your physical health. Let's move to something very dear to my heart. Your mental health is affecting your relationships. And I'm not just talking about relationships with your partner, like your romantic relationships. That's included too, but I'm talking about relationships you have with other people. If you are not mentally and emotionally okay, it's difficult to have a relationship with you. I'm sure you know this. You've dated people that are undateable. They are so angry, they are so paranoid, they like, you can't have normal relationships with them. Like, they are always suspicious of everything. They think you're out to hurt them. They think you're out to do something. And these are wounded people that have not dealt with their past wounds. And these wounds, the thing about emotions is that emotions are living things. If you don't deal with an issue today, it will come back to haunt you down the line somewhere, somehow. And the longer it takes for you not to deal with an issue, the worse it will manifest itself. So Let me give you an example. Let's say somebody has been cheated on repeatedly, right, by someone. Maybe it's a man or it's a woman. Let's say it's a man, right, who's been with people that were unfaithful to him, right? And over the years, he becomes this angry person who thinks that women are a certain way, right? And then eventually he meets somebody that, he loves and this person loves him too or whatever. And then this person does something that looks like what he has seen in the past. And he has such an exaggerated response to this situation that he can even take a gun and shoot someone or take a knife and stab someone. How many times do you read headlines that are similar to what I just said now? Right? Like you read all kinds of it. These are people, wounded, broken people that have not dealt with things. So this is how not dealing with emotional issues will come back and bite you if you're not careful, because you buried something that is alive and it's just there, and it's brewing. It's brewing, and it's going to wait until you find the man of your life or the woman of your life or the best job opportunities that you could ever dream of, and you blow it because you know why? Because you're not emotionally well. So it's difficult in the home. It's difficult to have a healthy relationship with your father if your father has mental and emotional health issues. It's difficult to have a relationship with other people, with your friends, in the workplace, because it's hard. These people are broken. It's literally the exact same thing as dealing with someone who is physically broken. Can you imagine somebody who breaks their leg, right? And their leg is swollen and they refuse to go to the doctor. And this leg keeps swelling and swelling and swelling to a point where even if you just do this, like just a little tap on their leg, they have such an exaggerated response that they will sometimes even cry, and they become dysfunctional because they have exaggerated responses to what are supposed to be normal interactions, right? It's exactly the same way. People who are touchy, people who are a certain way, who are super sensitive, that's evidence for you to show you that this is a person who has not taken time to deal with their mental and emotional health issues, right? So that's just on the relationship side. We move on to your work life. I gave you a snapshot of how I couldn't function properly in the workplace because I wasn't emotionally well. And that's just a tiny little example of people that are like me, or were like me, or who were like me back then, who would show up at work, but they are not working. They can't work because they're not okay. You understand? According to stats now, almost 50% of work-related absences are due to mental health-related issues. So yes, it will manifest itself in sickness one way or the other. But deep down, it's people that are not coping. They can't cope with the pressure and everything. So 50% of people who are absent from work in this day and age are mental health. They are absent because of mental health related absences. How crazy is that? 50%, guys. Imagine what this does for the economy. Imagine on what just being healthy can do to the economy as a whole. And what makes it even worse is that 90% of employees that were interviewed in the UK, 90% they interviewed during a study that was done by Deloitte, and they were asked if you would open up about a mental and emotional health issue in the workplace. 90% of the people said they would not talk to their seniors and superiors about their mental and emotional health issues because it's such a stigmatized subject. You can't talk about the fact that, oh, hi, my name is Tony. My girlfriend broke up with me yesterday, so I'm not okay. People will laugh at you. But the reality of it is, you are being affected by that very same thing that people are laughing at you for. You understand? And the people who's going to suffer the most is, first of all, the employer. And then second of all, the economy. The economy will suffer because, let me break down a study that was also done in 2020, 2019 actually, in the UK. They did a study and said 49 million pounds is lost annually because of not paying attention to mental and emotional health issues in the UK. And they broke it down to three things. The biggest chunk of that loss was due to presenteeism. Presenteeism is people showing up at work, but they are not working because they are not okay mentally and emotionally. And the second biggest chunk was absenteeism, people not being at work because of mental health related issues. And then the third chunk is turnover, which is basically people leaving the workplace because they are not happy in the workplace. So a lot of money could be saved if we started investing in interventions in the workplace for things like, for mental and emotional health issues. Imagine if you could go to your boss and say, I've just lost a baby and I need some time out. And your boss says, you know what, I totally understand. In fact, as a company, we will support you during this time. Can you imagine what it will do for the relationship that you have with your employer and just how much you're willing to put into that workplace if you have that kind of a relationship? Can you imagine? Anyway, that's just on the workplace side. And then there's your personal success. Your personal success is heavily influenced by your mental health. And let me show you how. Failure is one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people don't achieve success, because of the way they perceive failure. So they've done studies on failure, like scientific studies, and they've realized that people who have failed at least once in their lives, the failure then paints the way they perceive their potential and the way they perceive themselves and what they can or can't do. So in other words, one experience of failure can stop you from pursuing the next opportunity because you feel that because I've failed once, hence I am a failure in general. So one experience paints all the other experiences that will come, and you think that because you failed at one thing, it means that you don't have potential to achieve anything, you don't have potential to be successful. How crazy is that, right? So failure does affect the way you perceive yourself if you are not conscious of it. But how crazy is this? That some people will use failure as fuel and achieve more success, and some people will perceive failure as a personal reflection on who they are, their potential, and what they can do. So I hope you see how your personal success is influenced by your mental health. Somebody put it like this, and I thought that it was such a perfect analogy for how mental health affects your success. They said, if your mental health is like a handbrake. So if you have not so good mental health, you're like trying to drive a car with the handbrake on. Yes, you are moving. Yes, the car is moving, but at what speed are you moving? As opposed to you releasing the handbrake, which is the equivalent of you dealing with your mental and emotional health issues. If you release the handbrake, you can go at whatever speed you want and achieve success a lot faster because you have dealt with the one thing which I've just demonstrated right now that it's affecting everything about you, every single little thing, right? So if you release the handbrake and you can accelerate, a lot of us are trying and trying and trying. This feeling, tell me if it sounds familiar. You've been setting goals, you even know what to do, you've been reading the right books, but for some weird reason, the potential you have, no doubt about it. But for some weird reason, you just can't seem to go anywhere, right? You just can't seem to go anywhere. And you can't, for the life of you, point the finger at what the problem is. You even start talking about, maybe, me, I was bewitched or whatever. Like, maybe my family is not supposed to be blessed, but you have not paid attention to the handbrake. The handbrake, which is this. There's too many. I'll tell you, I will tell you guys this because I'm not speaking from what I read in a book or whatever. I'm talking about things that I've gone through, things I'm still going through to this day. You're supposed to, you want to exercise, you want to lose weight, whatever your goal is, or you want to make money, right? Because of how your mind is wired, because of how unwell you are mentally and emotionally, you just cannot get yourself up in the morning to start jogging, can you? It feels like a mountain to do. Like even sending that email with that proposal for that thing that you want to do, you can't. You're supposed to do it, but you don't. Why? Because the wounds are all up in your head, and your emotions then come because you think, you feel, and then you do. Nobody escapes that cycle. You think, you feel, you do. So if you think right, you will feel right, and you will do right. If you want to change your actions, start here, not the other way around. It's not people's problems. It's not anybody else's problems. For the most part, the problem is you. You are your worst enemy. As I said, what I'm hoping to do in this presentation is to show you how your mind is affecting everything about you. And I'm hoping that you guys are getting what I'm saying. Your spiritual life is also not spared by your mental health, because you and I know that it's impossible to have a healthy relationship with the Creator if your mind is not well. Which is why the Bible in so many scriptures talks about renewing the mind. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, taking every thought captive and making it obedient to Christ. Because he knows, he created you, and he knows what works and what doesn't. If your mind is not well, you cannot experience the will of the Father in your life. It's impossible. It doesn't happen. Because the mind is the gateway for you to achieve anything, the way you perceive God himself. Romans 12:2, be renewed in the spirit of your mind. The way you perceive God himself, how big or small he is not up to him. It's up to you in your mind. If your mind thinks God is small, then God is going to be small. So look, even as I'm talking to you, I'm also reminding myself of certain things. But what I wanted to plead the case with you and show you that your mind is affecting everything about you. So if we agree that the mind is affecting everything about you, then why do we not do something about it? I don't want you to beat yourself up because probably you didn't know any better. Because the next thing is, this is what the mind does, right? Like when you've been enlightened on something, you go into guilt overdrive because now you start feeling bad. Like, why didn't I know this before? Why didn't you do this before? Like, you're such a failure. And then you go back into that same cycle that then sinks you even further. I don't want you to do that. I want you to be compassionate towards yourself. And you don't know what you don't know, right? I also had to learn this at some point. And there was that temptation to say, oh, Tony, you're such a failure, man. How do you not know such obvious things? They were not obvious because these things are not talked about in society. Or maybe they were not talked about in ways that we understood. So let's be compassionate towards ourselves and speak to yourself right now and say, you know what, you didn't know any better. Even that person who abused you, who treated you badly or whatever, they didn't know any better, because if they knew better, they would do better, right? So self-compassion is important. Maurice is going to talk about, a lot of these self-care strategies at 11 o'clock. So that's also coming up. But what I wanted you to see was that you are being affected by your mental health in ways that you cannot even imagine, right? You cannot even imagine. We're going to do a discussion at the end of the presentation, maybe around 11:30 or 11:20. And then we can talk about our challenges, the things that stop us from enjoying life. Because, I mean, think about this. We enjoy life through our emotions. When you say, I've enjoyed myself, what are you referring to? Whether it was food, whether it was sex, whether it was an experience you went through, you know, we use our emotions to experience life. So if your emotions are not healthy, life is going to be miserable. Guaranteed, man. Guaranteed. Don't you ever have days in your life where you just wake up feeling sad? Nothing has happened, but you just feel sad. Like you just, for the life of you can't put a finger on it and say, I just feel so sad, man. And I don't know, it means that you're injured. You're injured. And sometimes you don't need anything happening in your world to feel sad. You are just so used to being sad that being sad becomes the norm. It becomes the normal way of doing life, you know. So at this point, I want to tell you that it's okay that you probably didn't know any better. And it's a time for a fresh start. And any kind of meaningful change starts with awareness. Awareness is the beginning of change. You can't change things that you're not aware of, right? So what I'm doing by having this talk with you is I'm hoping that you're going to pay attention. Education, any kind of learning, you know, involves information coupled with action. So you get the best result, not only when you know, but when you know and do. And not only do, but do repeatedly, because we learn by repetition. That's what we do. I mean, everything you are a master at right now, you learned by repetition, right? So you obviously you're not gonna get it right the first few times, you know, but just knowing and being aware is the beginning, right? Emotions are difficult things to understand, especially for us as Black people in this side of the world, because we don't understand what they are. Half of us are trying to bury the ones we don't like, and the ones that are good that we experience once in a very long time, they just come and go, and we are like in the passenger seat, and we are at the mercy of these emotions. We don't know that there's things that we can do to be in the driver's seat and control how we feel, how we experience life. You know what emotions are? Emotions are beautiful gifts. Emotions are beautiful gifts that God created us with, because what makes us human is the fact that we are emotional, right? We feel emotion, we feel pain, we feel joy, you know? So every single, I want you to start looking at emotions with a different kind of eye, with a different perspective. Emotions are gifts. Repeat it to yourself. Emotions are gifts, because emotions contain such valuable information that you can use to heal. Let me give you an example. If you're always angry at nothing, right? Like even the smallest things upset you, right? Instead of going around blaming people, start saying to yourself, this is a gift. Why I'm saying it's a gift? Because it's giving you a clue to the things that you have not dealt with. It's giving you information. If you have guilt issues and you're always feeling guilty about everything, it's a gift, because it's giving you a clue to something that you need to work on, you know? If you're always, you know, feeling pity for yourself, that's a gift. Instead of saying, why me? Ask, why am I feeling this way? What is this showing me about the issues that I have not dealt with, things that I did not know how to deal with? So this is a clue. for you to look deeper into it. We're going to talk about a lot of the hows a little bit later as we do more sessions and all of that. But today, as I said, my focus is creating awareness and letting you know that there are things that may need to be looked at. And emotions give you those opportunities to look into yourself and say, why am I always angry about everything? Why? Why? Why am I always angry? Why am I always angry? Omega, I want you to know that we're here for you and you're not alone. I can't even begin to imagine that what you went through. We love you, we appreciate you, and I can only imagine she lost someone to suicide. And that's not an easy thing. So I want you to know that you're not alone. We may not have a solution for you, but we'll listen and we are here for you all the time. We're here for you, we love you, we appreciate you, and you will not have to go through this alone. Yes? I can't even begin to imagine that I know what you're feeling, you know. But what we know for sure, the one thing that we have control over is that we can love you and we can heal together. That's what we're here for. We're here for people. And we will walk through this together. I just saw a message now, and I just wanted to let her know that, we're there for her and all of that. We need each other to heal and be better. Yeah. I am still dealing with a lot of the issues. I have made a lot of progress in certain areas, but there's certain areas that, we all have to, you will never find a completely full human being. It doesn't happen. And you also never find a perpetually happy being, like somebody who's happy all the time. All these experiences are here to teach us something. Pain is a great teacher, man. Like pain is a great teacher because pain, pain gives you the opportunity to look within, right? I know it sounds weird saying that, but emotions really are gifts, whether they're good or bad. If you're feeling happy, then it's time for you to pause and say, what is it that's making me happy right now? And how can I duplicate it? How can I make it happen again? Like, what is it that seems to be making me happy right now? Like, why is this working for me? And if something is working for you, you want to duplicate it, right? You want to repeat it and make sure that, you experience more of that. If something is making you sad, then maybe it's time to look into that and say, how do I experience this emotion less? How do I eliminate it? Like, how do I experience less and less and less of the guilt and the shame and the, low self-esteem and all of that? So we'll talk about the hows as we go, because there's a lot to talk about. But today, I just really just wanted you to see, to look at yourself differently, to look at your life differently, to look at your mind differently, because it really is affecting everything about you. The quality of your life comes down to how well you are mentally. I know for a typical Black person in Africa, from the day that you're born, just being exposed to all kinds of things, man, like we need to heal at some point, the poverty, the abuse, the abandonment, and the abuse is sometimes sexual, it's physical, it's verbal, it's emotional, all kinds of things, man. Like people growing up without fathers, people not even knowing who their fathers are, all of that is hard. Those are hard, and they seem to be more prevalent in this side of the world. And all of those things, they do affect us. And they do affect how we do relationships, how we achieve our success, how we do our work life, how we do physically. I love you guys like I do. And my desire is for us to walk this journey together and be better and experience life in a much more better way. So as I was saying earlier, we have Maurice who's coming up next. I'm not too sure if he's ready. Maurice, if you ready. Sonia has made it possible for you to share your screen. So all you have to do is just share your screen. So if you're online, brother, and you're listening, I think you're up next. You'll be coming on in the next few minutes. Can you hear me? I don't know if it's online. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you. We're not done yet because we're gonna go through. You know, we're gonna have like a discussion kind of, and then just talk about some of our struggles, some of the things that we have gone through to this day, and please know that this is a safe environment. You know, no one here will use any of what you say against you. You guys are here for a reason. The fact that you made time on a Saturday morning to do this, it says a lot about you as a human being, you know, that you want your life to be better somehow. And the good place to start is because when you fix this, you automatically fix a whole bunch of things, you know, the ones that I've just talked to you about. So it's a good place to begin, honestly, because a lot of people have it backwards. Like a lot of us are trying to achieve. And sometimes the financial success comes and then you realize I still feel empty because my relationships are messed up. I mean, what good is money if you do not have some people to love and share it with? Life is much more meaningful when you share things. I'll tell you that for sure. My most cherished moments are by far are things that I share with people. I've tried it, trust me. I've tried to keep things for myself, but there's a certain joy that comes from just loving people and being there for people. You know, it will do the opposite of what you think it would do. It will not leave you in lack. In fact, it will leave you abundant, and abundant not only materially, but abundant in your soul. The happiest people are people that know how to give, right? The Bible says, the whole Bible, all the commandments summed up in 2 laws. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as you love yourself. So Maurice, I hope you're ready, brother. Are you online? Sonia, is Maurice online? I'm not too sure.
He's not yet online. I'm trying to track him down. So, good morning.
Sorry.
Timothy Maurice Webster's not yet online. I'm trying to track him down. I will give you a signal somehow.
All right, cool. So we will just continue. And do you guys have any contributions, questions, comments? You know, feel free to just while we wait for Maurice, because I've got the last part of my presentation, but it was gonna come more naturally after he speaks. So we might as well just, you know, let me just acknowledge everybody who's there. Kwena, forgive me, some of these names it might be a little bit hard to pronounce. So I ask for forgiveness in advance. Kwena, did I say that right? Ompile.
Yes,
Oh, great show, by the way. I hope you listened to Homegrown today this afternoon. And Bunono, is that how you say it? Yes. Love the hair, by the way. Welcome to our session. Let me see who else is there. Anele, yay, welcome. Yes. Nzuzo, is that how you say it? And Blair, yes, Miss Blair. I had such a good laugh about your name the other day. Solo, is that how you say it? Great, welcome. Let's see who else is here. Lebu, you're not hiding from us. We can see you. Omega, hugs, love and light to you. Love and appreciate you. Great. Nomkosi, how are you? And Tandoluhle. I hope I got that right. What else is here? Who else is here? I see Pearl. Hey, Pearl. Hey, Society. Hey, Tsepo. And then lastly, Kieran Mackenzie and Bohan. Yeah. I hope I butcher anyone's name. But yeah, guys, this is an honor for me to do this. So any comments? If you have any comments, just unmute your mic, and then contributions, additions. I don't know. Anyone?
Hi, Tony.
Hi.
How are you?
I am blessed. Thank you so much. How are you?
I am blessed. I am blessed. I just want to add on the point that you've said when you spoke about woundedness. Being wounded, people, they think that it's something that you can see. And woundedness, it's your life journey, where how you grew up, it also have an impact. When I remember with my son, his father died when he was 7 years. And with him growing up, I've worked so hard to try and take him to the best school. And to be quite honest, I couldn't see that he was going through something. But I was just telling myself it's just a stage, being a teenager, because I grew with him. And that I only realized now that, when I reflect, that the signs were there, it's just I couldn't pick them up. And it's very important that we stop to have a stigma as a Black nation about mental illness, because that's where the problem is. When you having illness, we start to give you names. As a society, if we can start accepting each other, then that will make a huge difference. It starts with us. It starts with you. And so that is very important. My son, he was a presenter. He was working for a podcast in Vilagazi Street. I just forgotten the name. He died in 2019. It was not easy for me, because I was retrenched in 2018. I've moved from my house. I went back to my parents' house in Soweto. You end up trying to find a way and blaming yourself. And at that point, you didn't really understood what was going through that person's mind. And the only thing that makes me understand the situation, yes, the days are not the same. I do have psychologists, and I do go through the counseling and so forth. But it's not enough. It's not enough. It's just a lot of work as a parent. Seeing your child hanging on the tree. That's the worst thing that I've experienced. But what I can say to other people, the parents and other kids, it's that you must speak up, because we will never know what you don't say.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we'll talk properly after this session. But thank you so much for sharing that, for being brave enough to be vulnerable like that, and share that experience with us. We'll talk a lot more after the session. I'm told Timothy Maurice is now online. How are you, brother? Welcome to the session. It's wonderful to have you, man. Tim?
Tony, how are you, bro?
I'm all right, man. Great to have you, man.
It's good to have you. It's good to be on, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. It's good to see everyone's beautiful face. I know you guys are coming out of a really, really intense part of the conversation. I was listening in. How's it going?
It's going okay, man. Just trying to lay a foundation here, build some awareness around the issue, because the assumption is always that, we are all at the same level of knowledge, of awareness, of consciousness. And the mistake that we make is that, we start all the way at the top. And we don't realize that, the issue of mental health is a heavily stigmatized issue in this part of the world. And a lot of people think they know, but they really don't know. So just to try to build some awareness on the issue, and then kind of build brick by brick going up, and then, offer solutions at some point. But we're humbled to have you, man. Thank you so much. You can take it away.
Thanks, Tony. I just want to make sure before we jump in, what is the definition that you guys came up with as a starting point to define mental health? I'm really curious.
So we didn't define it by name, because what I've discovered in the few years that I've been doing this is you can have a definition which you can easily find on Google, but it's a totally different ball game when you show people. So I like to show people how mental health is affecting every single area of their lives. So we sort of spend some time, defining how it affects their health, their relationships, their work life, their personal success, their spiritual life. And then that's what got us to where we are here.
I see. Got it. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Timothy Maurice. What I'm going to do is share with you some mental health hacks so that you can work proactively to build a really strong, resilient brain. So in the face of your most challenging circumstances, the question is, how do you approach it with the best possible brain-body connection? So that's what my goal is. My goal is to ensure that you see that your brain and body have a connection, and that anything you feel is starting in the brain. So for example, if you feel sad, there's a chemical. I want everyone who has a camera, I want you to put your camera on, and I want you to smile into the camera, okay? Now, I want you to sit up straight and put your camera on and smile. And if there's someone, yeah, I see that smile. I see you. Is that Quena? Yeah, I see you. Tinashe, I see you guys. Thank you. Now, I want you to hold this smile, because what's happening in your body right now is your chemicals in your brain are starting to shift. Chemicals such as oxytocin, serotonin. What's happening is your smile is signaling to your brain that your body is changing. Now, I want you to put your chest out, okay? Sit up straight, put your chest out. Anelli, I can see Anelli is having a great time. This is amazing. Now, why is this important? Is because your body is controlling your brain. Tony, this is a really important part of mental health, is that there are times when your extreme body language influences you. Whenever I get depressing news, I start to smile because I'm trying to control the chemical flow in my mind, okay? When things traumatic happen to me, I stand tall in the middle of the most sad moments. I try to ensure that I do not allow my body to control my brain. Now, this is very important. Whenever sad information, whenever challenging information comes to you, what ends up happening is that if you do not understand the role of the body and the brain, you will find yourself being a victim of what's happening inside of you. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you 7 ways to control what's happening in your mind so that you can influence what's happening in the body. Now, this is a very important conversation to me because my mother went through a neurological breakdown. The reason I went back to school to MIT, one of the best schools in the world to study the brain, is because my mother experienced a neurological breakdown. Now, this is a very serious conversation that everybody here needs to take seriously. It's possible that you or the person you love, me, in the middle of lockdown 1 year ago, in the middle of April, I almost had a breakdown. It was hard. I was losing client after client. And in the middle of the most depressing, challenging moment of my life, when everything was crumbling, what I'm going to share with you are the tools and techniques that I use to keep me from breaking down. So, Lebu, all of you guys, I want you to lock in. For the next 20 minutes, I'm going to give you powerful information from neuroscience. And all neuroscience is information about what's happening between your brain, the body, and the environment. That's all it is. It's a fancy term, but I'm going to focus on the neuroscience of how to promote a healthy brain so that when you go through stuff, because think about it for a second. You've got your spiritual dimension, your emotional dimension, your physical, and your intellectual dimension. I'm going to focus on the one dimension, all right? So if everybody has something to write with or write down, I'm going to give you 7 strategic tips to help you manage proactively, stay ahead of the curve to build a resilient brain. Are you guys ready? I can see a few of you are definitely ready. Yes, thank you. I can see the thumbs up. Thank you very much. Now, while I'm going through this, I want to share with you that these may not seem like they mental health hacks at first, but just stay patient with me and follow the conversation, okay? So the number 1 is the power of delight. Power of delight. I'm going to put some of these on the screen, and then we're going to talk about them, okay? So number 1 is power of delight. If you want to take a moment and write all of these down, because I'm going to take this off the screen because I want to see your faces, okay? If you want to take a moment, do a screenshot or write these down. I will be removing the screen in a moment because I want to see your face. So delight. I want to take you back to the last time the world had a pandemic. Does anybody know when was the last pandemic? Put in the chat box. Anybody? When was the last pandemic, global pandemic in the world? Who can tell me? The last time there was a global pandemic. All right, because I don't have much time, we're going to keep it flowing. So the last time there was a global pandemic was in the early 1900s. There was a woman. Are there any entrepreneurs on here? Are there any entrepreneurs? Does anybody on here run a business? How many of you run a business? Raise your hand. Okay, there's a few of you. Okay, great. So number 1, power of delight. The last time there was a pandemic, there was a woman who had like an Airbnb. She had a guest house, and customers had literally dried up. This woman looked around her. She looked around and she said, how can I add delight in the people around me to grow my business? So what she did was she had some dough and she had some chocolate chunks. And she put the chocolate chunks in the dough and started serving the community. Guys, I need you to hear me clearly. There was no such thing as a chocolate chip cookie. It had never been invented. It was invented in the last pandemic. In the early 1900s, a woman looked around and she says, I want to delight the people around me. And she says, all I have, I don't have money, but I've got a little bit of dough and I got a few chocolate chunks. And she put the chocolate chunks in the dough and she invented the first ever chocolate chip cookie in the middle of the pandemic. I want you, when we leave this conversation, I want you to look around and go, what do I have where I can delight myself and delight other people? maybe all you have is the ability to draw. So you get a piece of paper. You get a piece of paper and you go, I want to put a heart and I want to put somebody's name in it and I'm going to give it to them. What happens when you do that? When you do that, the brain releases positive chemicals to create a pathway, a network in your brain to make you feel better. This is a powerful mental health hack. When you decide, I want to take what I have to delight other people. What is your chocolate chip cookie? The first thing, I want you to look around your house and go, what is my chocolate chip cookie? What can I give other people that doesn't cost me anything, but I can put a little bit of time? Maybe it is a smile. Maybe you do a FaceTime with somebody. Maybe you reach out to somebody. Maybe you walk to your neighbor and just ask them, how are you doing? Whatever it is, what little thing you can do, delight has power in the brain. Delight triggers powerful networks in the brain. Number two, one of the biggest reasons why we fall into mental health challenges is that we don't understand the people around us. How many of you have got a partner that you don't understand? Somebody in your life that you're in love with, but this person is driving you crazy. I mean, let's be honest. Most of us have these people in our lives. We don't understand them. They're not taking our calls, whatever. People around you can drive you insane. We know that, right? People around us can drive you insane. So the relationships you have around you, like this community of people we have on this call, this is like a tribe. And I want you to think for a moment. Everybody on this call has power, has ability to influence you. Everybody on this call has some value that you can exchange. So the number 2 point, which is trigger the tribe. I want you to ask yourself, what does Tony care about? What does Omega care about? What does Tulu care about? When you understand what other people care about and you align value with them, that is called triggering the tribe. Now, if I discover that somebody inside of this community needs a network, Kudzai, if I discover that there's somebody in this call who needs something really, really small, if I align my value and I connect with them, if I share something small, that's triggering the tribe. And what you're doing is triggering the law of reciprocity. People become inspired to give back to you. Now, I'm gonna pick up on that a bit in a moment, okay? Number 3 is music therapy. How many of you have a playlist that you listen to when you get hyped, right? How many of you have a playlist you listen to when you make love? Is there anybody who has, is there anybody? Please share in the chat box a song you make love to. Come on, guys, we're a family, we're a tribe. Put something, I need some new songs myself, guys. Put in the chat box something you listen to when it's feeling really, really good. Also, if you've got something you listen to when you exercise, please put that in the chat box as well. I know Tony. Tony's a little bit of a player. Well, he used to be. I think you're a retired player now. Put something in the chat.
Oh gosh, you didn't just say that.
You're a retired player, but put something.
But yeah,
on Halo. Quinn, are you listening to Halo? Wow. Listen, listen. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm not judging you for listening to Halo when you making love, but I'm not sure I want to listen to that one. Okay, listen, here's my point. I had a grandmother who had Alzheimer's. She forgot her 8 kids' names. She forgot her grandkids like me. She forgot everything except for music. My grandmother could still remember lyrics to her favorite songs. She did not know her kids' names, but she could sing Amazing Grace. And why? Because music and lyrics touch every part of the brain. Music has power. It touches the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of the brain, the lower region of the brain, the emotional limbic region of the brain. It touches the whole brain. So I want you to design different playlists. I want you to design a playlist that when things get really hard, it pushes you to another space. I want you to design playlists that move you into a calming area. When you feel anxiety, when you're stressed out, I want you to have a specific playlist. Because sometimes you need to move the body to change your thoughts. So music can be an escort to begin moving the chemicals in the body to start to change your thinking. I want you to stay with me. You know, when the right song comes on and you're making love, you get a little bit extra energy. You know, a song can take you there. Anyway, listen. The main point, I hope y'all don't listen to, does anybody listen to gospel music when you're making love? I hope not. I don't know. I can't, I don't know. Look, I'm not here to judge, but I don't want to hear Kirk Franklin. Anyway, let me focus because I don't have much time. The point number 4, let me put these points back up on the screen. Number 4 is emotional bank account, okay? Now, this is probably one of the most powerful things that I'm gonna share with you today. Number 4, emotional bank account. Now, I want you to think about some of your closest friends, your strongest allies. I'm gonna use my friend Nick. And everybody you have a relationship with, you have what we call an emotional account with them. Now, let me give a specific example. Let me see who's on here. Anelli, who's single? Who's all the way single on here? Raise your hand. All the way. Okay. Kudzai, like there's nobody in your DM, things are dry, nothing. There's nobody. Okay, cool. So Kudzai, I want you to imagine that you and I are dating, okay? And things are going really well. We in a great relationship. Now imagine that it's Valentine's Day and you hate flowers. It's Valentine's Day and you hate flowers. And I give you flowers. That's going to be a withdrawal from our emotional account. Because the only way I can make a deposit into your life, it has to be something that you care about. So if you care about, let's say, shopping at Louis Vuitton, and I go and I buy you a bag, then what happens is that is a deposit into your life. If you care about thank yous and appreciation, and I say thank you and I write a handwritten note, that's a deposit. If I forget something, you've got a big presentation, and I forget to ask you about that presentation, that is a withdrawal. Now, I want you to think about your accounts. People right now who owe you money, that's a withdrawal emotionally, not just financially. The people in your life who are stressing you out, these are people you probably have a deficit with. If I think about my friend Nick asked me to come on this call to talk to you. The fact that I came on this call is a deposit into Nick's life. The fact that Nick asked me to do this call is a deposit into my life. Now, you got to understand every account, the small print on every account is different. I gotta, yes, love languages, but listen to me carefully. If I have not deposited anything into Tony's life, and I go to Tony and I ask Tony for somebody's number in his network, it's possible that Tony is going to look at me and go, you have insufficient funds. That at the ATM of his heart, there's going to be nothing. Now, hear me clearly. I almost lost one of my biggest mentors. He's a billionaire because I did that. I asked him for somebody in his network. I asked him for an email. He gave it to me, but he stopped taking my calls. I spent 1 year making deposits. I spent 1 year. I would send him a podcast link. I would send him notes. And it took me 1 year to build my account back up where he would reach out to me. This is very important. So many of you have asked for something for so long and you have not been depositing. I want you to think about the most important people in your life and ask yourself, how much have you deposited in gratitude, in thank yous, in small things? Now, too many of us Black people, we like to make withdrawals, but we don't like to deposit. I'm calling all of us out. We like to put our hands out, but we don't like to give. Now, and this is a global problem. I just came back from the States for 4 months and spending time with my family, and all they did was ask. I don't care if you're Black in Brooklyn, in New York. I don't care if you're Black in Nigeria. Black people all over the world like to take. So my point is this: if you want to build your mental health stamina, the more you make deposits, the stronger you're gonna be. Number 5. So basically, before I wrap up that point, check your emotional bank accounts with people. It's possible that your mental health is falling down because you've got a lot of weak accounts. You have not checked your accounts. They're about to cancel your accounts in too many areas of your life. Number 5 is nature bathing. Nature bathing. If you spend 3 straight days connecting with nature, your immune system gets a boost. Your cancer fighting cells grow by 50%. If you spend 3 straight days immersed in a garden, nature, a park, go find grass, walk in grass barefoot, because your immune system will fight depression. You have to supercharge your immune system. Omega, I heard you went through something really traumatic. Whenever you go through stuff that's really traumatic, you gotta find nature. God exists in nature. The cells in nature, the energy in nature is communing with you. And sometimes when things get really, really hard and trauma hits you and you cannot necessarily connect from a faith perspective, go immerse yourself in nature. Your brain boosts what we call beta and alpha waves. And these waves help create harmony in your brain. Beta and alpha waves create a calmness in your brain. So when you're going through the worst trauma, let me give you one more thing. People who spend a lot of time in nature, they heal from disease up to 30% faster. If you know somebody in a hospital, try to get them a view that faces nature, because nature can help them heal faster. When people spend more time in nature, there's a study from the University of Chicago where there were rundown communities. When they planted trees, the unemployment rate dropped, because when people became calmer, they talked more, they're engaged more, they opened up their networks more. Nature calms you, and it costs nothing. Nothing. That's number 5. Number 6 is design and schedule your social media. Social media, I don't care how much time you spend on it, but here is what I care about, and I want you to hear me clearly. That the algorithms or the systems on social media are messing with your brain, and here's how. I want you to go and look at how many people you follow that are white, Indian, Black, Chinese. Go. Get your phones out. I want you to look and see how many people you follow who don't look like you. How many perspectives are you getting that are diverse, that are inclusive, that are considerate of other people? I looked at President Zuma's popular wife. I did a study, a global study, to look at how diverse people's following is. Now, President Zuma's wife, at the time, she had close to 300 followers. She had 300 people she followed on social media. How many people do you think she followed that were white people? How many? Put up a finger. How many you think she followed? 2, 10, 20? No, one. One out of close to 300 people. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because diverse opinions is important. You can get stuck in an emotional room on social media where everybody is thinking like you. You get stuck in what we call an echo chamber. If you do not have diverse opinions and perspectives, it narrows what's happening in your brain and you can get depressed quickly. It's possible that there's a different opinion that could snap you out of what you see and what you're thinking. Guys, I need you to hear me clearly. I proactively go on and find people who look different from me so that I can make sure that what's coming to me is balanced. I don't want everybody who's following me looking the same, thinking the same. So I want you to go and do a social media audit. And I want you to go and I want you to call yourself out and start finding people from around the world to open up and expand your thinking, to get you to see the world differently. It's vital. There's a reason why if you go to every community, just about every house looks the same, because everybody's thinking the same. The communities are so similar, and you don't realize that you need a different level of input to trigger your mind outside of where you're thinking. Number 7, and I'm done. Me time. This is going to sound simple, but this is the most powerful thing I'm going to share with you today. When you're thinking about solving a problem, this part of the brain, the front part of the brain, this is what makes us uniquely human. Hear me clearly. This part of the brain is the vision, planning, strategic, designing part of the brain. If you have a dog or a pet, this part of their brain is very different from ours. It's not as advanced. If you think about a monkey or a gorilla, this part of the brain is not as advanced as ours. No monkey is sitting around thinking about what they're going to do in December holidays. What's going to happen if they go to the braai next weekend. No dog is sitting around wondering what they're going to eat next weekend. This is what this part of the brain does. So when you're trying to build a business, this part of the brain is at work. When you're trying to solve a problem for your family and you're trying to get your grandmother a home, this part of the brain is what's at work. Now, this part of the brain, the lower part of the brain, this part of the brain, the limbic system, is where the emotions are. When you start crying, it comes from here. When you orgasm, that beautiful feeling of orgasm, it's starting from here, not here. Now, this is critical that you get this, that understanding these parts of the brain can help you with mental health. When you're trying to figure out a problem, you have to stop this part of the brain so that you can let the unconscious mind start to put patterns together. I need you to hear me clearly that you have answers and genius in your unconscious mind. But because we get so busy trying to solve things on our own, that you cut off part of the magic and the genius of your own brain. So the next time you're trying to solve a problem, I want you to go and take a bath. And I want you to sit in the bath and light a candle and stop thinking, because the answers start to come. Tony, how many times have you been trying to figure out a problem? How many times have you been trying to figure out a problem and the answer did not come until you stopped thinking about it?
It's amazing how when I relax. So as you said, it can happen in the shower. Sometimes it has happened when I'm taking a walk in the park. That's when you make the most incredible connections. And I say connections because it's things that already exist in you. You have all the information. The brain just needs to link them up and solve a problem.
Yeah. Now here's what's happening, Tony. This part of the brain, I told you, the problem solving, it goes into a spin cycle when you're trying to think. So I want you to imagine right now when you leave this call today and your brain is spinning, trying to solve problems. What you want to do is slow it down. And by getting into the shower, getting into a bath, going for a walk, doing something that calms you, you slow it down and you allow the unconscious mind to start giving you the answers. And that's why the answers come. It's very counterintuitive, but that's the magic of the brain. I've learned that when I need answers from my books, when I need answers, I've got to stop thinking. I've got to relax myself. When I go play tennis with Nick, when I go out with my friends and I'm just doing something to go for a run, I slow it down. I stop trying to solve the problem. That's why I love the Bible. When the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. What he's saying is this: stop. I've given you the answers. I'm just giving you the neuroscience of it. You've read it in the Bible. I'm giving you the neuroscience. The brain science of what that scripture meant was be still, relax, get in a bath, treat yourself for being beautiful, calm yourself down and just know that you are majestic and you're powerful. Slow down and recognize you're going to be all right. In the middle of all of this, all of your mental health challenges and everything you're going to face, I want you to know that you have power to control your body and your mind. You can't control what's happening in the world. I can't control a pandemic. I can't control anything around me, but I can stop and recognize that the answers are already there. You've got a tribe, you got a community of people that will get your back. We're all here for each other. I want you guys to hang in there. Anybody have any questions before I take off? Anybody got any questions about any of these 7 hacks? We call these hacks, things that you got to actively do. I'm going to put them back up on the screen in case anybody still wants to make a note. Power of delight. I asked you what your...
Can I please come in?
Nelly, yes, you can. Talk to me.
Like, this is one of the most, okay, in light of I was born to speak on radio, this is your girl, Anele Kunene, coming to you live from Douglasdale in South Africa. Yes. You know, this is one of the most amazing webinars we've ever had. Every day we continue to learn, every day, every webinar we've had. But I've got so much to take away from this. And I just want to go back to the point that you were saying. I always say that I love you with my limbic system, because we always see that I love you with my heart and we create this thing. The heart is just an organ that pumps blood. Yes. But I love you with my limbic system, because that is the part of the brain that gives me the emotion, you know. I take that away. And it was and just going back to what 20 Friday said earlier, where I was saying that failure, in terms of failure, it's also just an emotion that we feel. And I always say, it's what you say to yourself. So I say failure is always the first attempt in learning. That's how I break the word failure down, so that I can have that thing in the back of my mind. It's my first attempt in learning. I haven't failed, and I'm not going to move away from what I'm trying to do. I'm going to continue to try and try until I get it right, because it's about consistency. It's about learning. It's about getting your brain to realize that I am learning every day. Everything that I do, every hour of my day is about me learning and about getting it right. So I just want to say that thank you so much for this session. It is actually what we need to do, just hack the brain. Yes. It's a chemical thing. It's chemicals that are running through us. you can do it. You can get it right. And I hope that everyone takes that away from this session. Sorry, it's not a question, but just something I wanted to add there.
Thank you, Anela. Great, beautiful feedback. I want to just say, if anybody has any questions, you can leave them for Tony. They'll get them to me. But my final takeaway point is this. I want to help you think about your creative brain. How many of you like sparkling water? Anybody like sparkling water? Raise your hand. Okay, so let me tell you the difference between sparkling and still water from a brain perspective. Sparkling water has more acid. Still water is more neutral. It produces the hydration effect that enables your brain to make connections quicker. So if I drink more still water, because on the back of the water that has pH level, find the pH level of 7 or 8. The water out of your tap in South Africa is about 6.5, so you can drink it out of your tap as well. But if you find water that has pH level 7 or 8 on the back, it's boosting alpha waves, helping you think quicker on the tip of your tongue. If you're a speaker, you haven't heard me say not even once. Why? Because I'm drinking more still water. If all you do is drink Coke and fizzy drinks and so forth, you are inhibiting your brain from making connections faster. Drink more still water, less sparkling water. I'm not saying have your Cokes, whatever, but before you go into creative spaces, before you go into needing to present, before you go into needing to build yourself up for something, drink more still water. You're creating more hydration. You're enabling your brain to make connections faster. The neurons, the information cells in your brain, they fire quicker. And at the end of the day, mental health is about having access to your full mental power. Anything that disturbs that, trauma, scarring, any sort of damage in the brain that comes from pain, what you want to be able to do is help to regenerate, to strengthen the brain so that you can make connections quicker. You can have more control of the chemical flow of the brain. And I'm telling you, we're going to do more of these webinars and so forth. Tony, thank you very much. Thank all of you guys. I appreciate you. I love you. Enjoy. Thank you very much. God bless you. We'll speak.
Wow. Thanks a lot, man. I cannot tell you how honored I am that you actually agreed to come, because in the first session, we sort of like talked about the issues and you just came in with the hacks, and I think it makes a complete presentation for today. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for all your help and just teaching us, a lot of the things that, not so many of us knew. So thank you so much for that, man. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll not keep you for any longer.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
All right. Cheers. Bye. Wow. Shoo. Yeah. That was an amazing presentation from Timothy Maurice. You can look him up as well. He's got a lot of things that he offers commercially, so you can actually look him up and see how far you want to take it with him. So thank you. Also want to take time to welcome a friend of mine, Kudzai. Kudzai is in Malaysia. We had a 2-hour conversation in the morning. And she's an amazing soul. I feel like I've known her all my life, but I've only known her for a very short space of time. And she was telling me about something amazing that she's doing with kids, paying school fees for kids who are not able to, whose parents are not able to send them to school, which I think, is the heart of what we're trying to do. Just loving people into wholeness, So Kudzai, thank you for the amazing work that you're doing. We appreciate you, and we welcome you to this amazing. I'm sure you can see the energy here. The energy is different. We are all here to learn, and we are here to share, and we are here to grow. So at this point, because we only have 18 minutes left. So we've got 18 minutes. I just want to go around and just go talk to each person who's here and just, I'll start with Ompile because I'm looking at him now. Ompile, please unmute your mic.
Hello.
How was it for you, bro?
It was, it was a lot. It was a lot because, well, it started with you. A lot of things that you were saying, I could relate to them. Like, it wasn't only about, how do I put this? It's not only about like the actual story. Like, for example, what you're talking about, it's different from the situation that I'm going through, but everything just makes sense. The way that I'm dealing with it, etc., and the way that I'm supposed to be fixing it, like it's kind of similar. And then now moving on to Mr. Tim, um, he basically taught me ways to actually help myself
Yeah.
because let me see. Sometimes you forget to take yourself seriously. You stress yourself, whatever, and then you forget things like me time. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I don't take it as seriously as I should. So
Yeah.
from today onwards, I'm gonna do that. And another thing is that the playlists, I'm also gonna do it for everything. And yes, that means including sex.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for that feedback, man. I want to remind you because I know you had a rough week. There was a lot of learning that we had to do during the week, and I know that I came in really hard on you,
Yeah.
but for one reason only, because I want you to grow. You have amazing potential, and as I was saying the other day, learn, and you get better. You're good, but I want you to be great.
Great. Yeah.
Awesome. Kudzi, you want to share something?
I'm sorry, guys, I joined late. I was doing something, I was caught up. But anyways, I'm happy to have been a part of this. I learned one or two things, especially the nature, the point about nature, like immersing yourself in nature. I love nature. I have plants around my house. Every time I feel like I'm very low or disturbed, I look at my plants, I see them happy. I just look at how beautiful they are, and I just get this kind of energy. So nature is beautiful, and it really sends this energy that is just so wonderful. You guys should all try it. And if you're doing it, keep it up. Thank you so much, Tony, for inviting me. I'm super happy to be a part of this group.
Thank you, Kozi. Awesome. Omega, you want to share something? Your mic is off.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
There we go.
I think I've learned a lot on this session. Moreover, how to stay calm in every situation that you encounter, because most of the time when maybe that thing it triggers, then you end up unable to control yourself, and so that's very important to have that music therapy and the nature. And another thing that it came as something that I am looking into to doing is to invest into others. With what is it that trigger the tribe? What is it that you want to do for others? What is it that you're doing to yourself as well? And so thank you very much.
Thank you so much, America. And as I was saying earlier, because I know that you're going through a lot after the suicide and everything, we're here to support you. We will love you to wholeness. Just stay with us. You're part of the family, and yes, you will get better. Awesome. Lebu.
Hi, thank you so much. Oh, hey everyone, I'm Lebolanga. So I just want to say that more of these please today made me realize that it's very important to always have these kinds of sessions. I love what you said, Tony, about paying attention to our emotional health and our mental health. A lot of times when we feel a certain way, we get discouraged in expressing that. So I love that we get to have a space where we share and no one is judging, and also learning from one another. I mean, Omega, to you personally, I just want to say that it takes a different kind of strength to deal with with what you're dealing with and still be here, you know. I think as everyone here, we can learn from you and also be a support to that, even if we're not experts, because the one thing that you also said is that as a Black community, we don't address this. It's always something that is downplayed on, and it's time that we have a space where we always say that, no, it's okay. I also love that Timothy mentioned that, you know, we have to have me time. I personally never have me time. And as Umpile also said, it's something that we don't take seriously as well. And having me time is honestly something that's said to be therapeutic, and taking a step to tapping into that, I feel that it's something that could be helpful. I personally love music. So when Timothy mentioned music and how it plays a role into, or if it being a life hack, a mental hack, that it's encouraging that it's not something stupid, because just like emotions, music in my life was said to be something that is not necessary and so forth. But besides saying too many things, I just personally say that, you know what, I vouch for this and I would really encourage it. It's a beautiful community, and I love that we can all share what we feel and not even feel guilty, because it takes a toll on us physically, emotionally, and you lose yourself. So thank you so much, leadership. I really appreciate this.
Thank you, Lebo. Thank you so much for that feedback. Bohang, is that how you say it? I hope I didn't butcher your name. Bohang, is that how you say it? Please unmute your mic. Your mic is up. There we go.
Hello, hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi everyone.
Yes,
My name
yes, we
is
can.
Bokang Magiti,
Mm-hmm.
and about the session today, I am very happy that I was a part of it. I have learned a lot about mental health. What I can say is, as Africans, we don't really take care of our mental health. You know, when you're feeling a certain way, it's just a feeling that you don't take
Go
care
on.
of. You're just like, oh, today I'm sad. Okay, I'm sad. Oh, I'm sad. Well, I'll be okay. You know, you don't consider many things like what you said. When you're sad, you have to ask yourself, why am I sad today? We don't do that, you know. So yes, I have learned a lot, and I do know that we have to take care of our mental health. We have to take care of our emotions. So yeah, that's pretty much what I learned for today.
Thank you so much. Morrison, my brother, how are you, man?
Thank you.
Hey, Tony. Morning, guys.
How are you? Great to see
I'm
you.
good. Thanks, man. Yeah, I kind of joined the webinar late this morning, but with
Nah,
a
it's okay.
few words that I did catch from Timothy Maurice. Growing up, I always knew how vital and important mental health is. You know, I've always really found it very interesting. So one thing I'm grateful for is I spent a lot of time by myself, and music's always been my healer. So yeah, it plays a very important role, and I understand how mental health plays a vital role in your overall well-being. You know, so it was good to catch the session. I wish I had caught it from the beginning. Unfortunately, I had to be somewhere this
Yeah, it's
morning,
okay,
and I
man.
only caught up late.
There's a recording, so we can always make it available on request if you need one. So yeah, thank you for that feedback.
That will be appreciated, Tony.
All right. Zulu, can you talk?
There's a bit of noise here. Good morning, everybody. My name is
Morning.
Tulu Mwasi,
Hello.
and you are watched where I was born to speak on radio. This topic is so touchy, Tony. I can even break down and cry.
It's
So
okay.
touchy.
It's
It's
okay.
really okay. I mean, it takes it even. When you've experienced failure, I don't know. Maybe it's because of the fact of timing or what. I don't know. When you've tried so many things so many times, especially in this industry, as
Yeah.
you all, well, most of you guys know by now that I'm doing music. When you've tried for more than even 10 years, it's heartbreaking. So when you touched on failure as well, it touched me so much, From your side, Tony, you touched on many touchy things, Nje. And I did go for counseling, and I feel that I need more. I need more than that personally,
We'll talk some more.
And I've got a lot of growing to do. Yeah, it's okay. Thank you so much. I've got a lot of growing to do, and even for this course, I mean, I needed to hear this. I really needed to hear this because I need to make it. I have to make it.
We love you. We're here for you. We appreciate you. Yes. We'll talk a lot more. Yes.
Yeah, and also what Timothy spoke about as well. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. Everything that he mentioned, I'm gonna apply myself
Okay.
and make sure that I grow. Let me get off this taxi. I'll take a little walk at least you and breathe. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, so I'm grateful to be a part of this cause. It's value for money, and yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Boham, please mute your mic. Thank you. Anele?
Sorry, I didn't unmute myself there. This is your girl, Anele Gunene, coming to you live at 6 minutes to the hour, to top of the hour, 12 o'clock, where our first homegrown experience show is launching. Yes. Guys, one thing I just want to come across and say to you is I got out of my head. I stepped into my greatness. I signed up for this radio show in January, the 23rd of January to be exact. And now I have an opportunity to launch a radio show, the homegrown experience. So, being on this webinar, listening to this, I just want to resonate the fact that we can all step out of our heads and have this hack, these hacks that were coming across. And as Maurice was going through them, I'm like, yes. Because these things literally work. It's about consistency. And funny enough, I'm hosting the motivation and inspiration segment of the show. So for me, I literally, as people are coming across and they are sharing their stories and being able to cry, I don't think that we understand enough how important it is to be able to talk about ourselves, firstly, to be able to share ourselves, because we think about it too much. I think we honestly do think about things way too much. And when he got onto that segment to say, don't think about it too much, and it was on the show that is going to be launching today, it was my little piece of advice. Do not think about it too much. Just get out of your head and step into your greatness. So it's just like I wanted to come onto this webinar and to share the fact that the show is launching in a couple of minutes, 4 minutes from now.
Yay.
The show is going to be going live on Massive Metro. So guys, tune in, and just get out of your head and step into your greatness wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever you are about. Just get out of your head and do it. This is your girl, Anele Kunene, coming to you live all the way from Douglasdale in Foyes.
Love the energy, Anele. Thank you so much. And well done for launching the show. It sounds great. And I'm looking forward to tuning in a few minutes. Yes. So quickly, Nomkosi, are you there? Nomkosi, okay. Pearl, are you there? Okay,
hi,
Nomkosi.
Tony.
Hi, how are you? Talk to us.
I'm good, and you? Thank you so much. You are well of wisdom. I so empowered to be part of the show, and I've learned so much today in terms of mental wellness and the things that we take for granted. And what I'm taking is the emotional bank account that we just take, and we never deposit, just to say thank you. And also just to smile to the next person. You have
no, because like somebody, people want to see your face. Can you switch on your video?
Okay, it's just that
Thank you.
my network is very slow. So when I open the video, but let me try.
Okay, all right, cool. All right.
Yes. I think it's date. Oh, where am I? Am I still in? What did I do? Hi, Tony, can you hear me?
Yes, you are.
Yes, I'm sorry for the camera.
No, it's fine. You can, it's fine. We can, you can just wrap it up. It's fine.
Yes. So I was just saying that what I'm taking from today is the emotional bank account that is easy for us to take without saying thank you. And even if it's a smile, that can cheer someone for a day. So that's what I'm taking. Thank you so much, Tony. I'm still going to see you next week. We'll continue.
No problem.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
And then lastly, Tsepo, James, are you there? Tsepo James is nowhere to be found. Anyway, guys, let me take this time to say thank you. Oh,
Hi,
Tsepo,
Tony.
there you are.
Yeah, what's up,
Talk
man?
to me, man. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to, let me just turn on the video. Okay. Oh, flip. Now I'm losing it. So, okay. Can I? Yeah. Well, I just learned so much about the seminar today. I've been listening. So the time I was listening, I went straight to the banks and all that stuff. So I had to sort out issues here at home and stuff,
No problem.
Yeah. So with me, I have so much actually that's going on with me right now. I have my assignment submissions coming through. I have a test. I have an exam that's coming. I'm so overwhelmed. Let me be honest with you. But it's something that I've been telling myself that, dude, you gotta deal with this, bro. I am so overwhelmed, and sometimes what it does is I take things out on people, and I realize that this is not okay. This is not how I should be treating other people and stuff. The situation at home is my mom. I'm gonna be really emotional right now. My mom is really sick.
Bro. It's okay, man. It's okay. And please know that I'm here for you. I love you. And you can highlight anytime and we can talk about this.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so my mom is like really sick. So I'm trying to figure out a way. I'm trying to figure out ways to get her better. So at this point, I'm at a point where I don't know what to do now. I'm like, oh dude, you gotta figure out what to do. Okay, fine. I went to find the right people who can really help me. My sister came over yesterday for a visit with my nephew. She was joyful. And then this morning, I talked to her and she was so down. And I fell in tears. I was like, whoa, okay. So what do I have to do now? You understand? So, but I'm managing. I'd say I'm trying my best. That's what I'd say. And
I hear you. I'm calling you straight after this webinar, yeah?
Yeah, but thank you so much
please,
for it, man.
please, yeah, cool, man. I'm here for you. I love you. You're not alone. I'll give you a shout straight after this and then, just have a quick chat, yeah?
All right, cool. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
a lot. All right, no problem. Bunono, do you want to say something? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
You can hear me. I think when it comes to mental health, wait, is my video stuck? Or can you guys see me? No.
Even audio, just audio is fine.
It's fine. Okay, I think when it comes to mental health, we always speak about the things that are deemed like serious, like your traumas and the abuse and stuff like that. And we don't talk about like simple things like when you lose a friend, not even to death, but like just losing a friend in your life, they're no longer there. And you're like, which one is this one now? And like nobody has told you this is how you deal with losing a friend. And I think we need to touch more on things like that, because people are like, people will tell you, you lost a friend, just go out there and make a new one. There are plenty of those that, and you're like, no, I need to understand what happened here, and so I can fix if it's on my part, and if it's that person, you are able to communicate that this is how we ended up where we are now. So, but other than that, I just want to thank you. This was very insightful, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Miss Blair? Do you want to say something? Your mic is off. Your mic is off. Can you switch it on?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah, okay, let's start with the two, Omega, and I think the ladies Omega and Tepo. I would like to offer my services, some of my product services to them, that is if they're willing. So they can get in touch with me. I'll pass on the number to Wendy. That's one. Two, I like the conversation that we had with Maurice today. And what I like most, it's obviously touching on how the neural connections, functions in our brain. There's what we call neurosynaptic connection. Through that, we learn how to ride a bike, how to drive a car, and how to swim. And for the first time when we swim, when we do all of those, we do it incorrectly. It's a quite significant chemical in our brain, because at the very same time, we can also learn how to correct how we've learned the incorrect way. So we only need to disengage and to reverse. And all I would like to say is that we should stop limiting our self-belief. So we should work on those and reverse them, because through that, we can actually just achieve almost absolutely everything that we want. So yeah, I quite like it. And in addition to that, I work a lot with different clients. And when it comes to bathing in nature, he is so right. It's one of the best things, because I also take a shower in the morning, a very cold shower, because I learned that from the yoga teacher's training, and it repels lots and lots of diseases from your system. So your immune system, it becomes very defensive to any, I would say, bacteria, to any illnesses that is out there to attack you. So yeah, but anyway, the highlight for me is to give my services to the two people that I've mentioned. And thanks a lot once again for the information that he's shared with us. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And then lastly, Quena.
Hello, Mr. Tony Friday.
How are you, man?
Everybody in the webinar. The time is 7 minutes past 12, and I am KK. You are still watching the I Was Born to Speak on Radio webinars, and this is the first of the Am I Taking Care of Me series. So I might go off on a little bit of a tangent here. Please forgive me if I do. So, I consume a lot of hip hop music, and this one in my mind right now is by J. Cole. And in his album, he said it's called KOD. So it stands for Kids on Drugs, Kings Overdosed. And so he is touching a lot on societal issues revolving around mental health. And what he mentioned was a line that goes in the sense that do not medicate, just meditate. Yeah. So I
Powerful.
want to know. Yeah. So I want to know from you, Mr. Tony Friday. Since we understand a lot of our emotions, they stem from chemical reactions in our brains, and a lot of medication, either pharmaceutical medication or natural medication, can actually help with stimulating these kind of chemicals, but also does meditation. So I want to know from you, Mr. Tony Friday, particularly with how you overcame your situation. Were you medicating or did you choose to meditate, and how did that help you?
I don't think it was one thing, bruh. It was I think first and foremost, I needed to, the thing that helped me the most was changing the way I think and the way I perceive life situations, you know. Note the word perceive, because situations remain neutral. I always say this, like no situation, nothing can make you feel any way. It's the way you perceive those situations that make you feel. So I would say the thing that I changed the most was how I think and how I process life events. We can talk a little bit more about it after the webinar, because there's so much to say about it. But thank you so much for that contribution. And I think this just about brings us to the end of this webinar. I know it's a Saturday. You guys took time to watch this. You could have been doing all kinds of things, but I appreciate it. I'm humbled to serve you. I'm at your service, as I always say. You can reach out to me anytime. We can talk about, whatever. But thank you so much for making part two. We'll be advising you when the next one is. But otherwise, have a lovely weekend, and
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Tony. Bye-bye.
Guys, tune into Massive Metro or Homegrown Radio. Download the app right now before you go anywhere and tune into the Homegrown experience.
I need your number. I need your number.
Got you,
I need your
Anele.
number. I need your number.
All right now, the Homegrown experience is
It's
live.
okay. It's okay, but I need it